That's right. You've got me. We'll see where it goes. All this and more on the Self Evident Podcast. Welcome, y'all. You got Mike. Massey is out of town, and we had talked about doing a long distance podcast, but I know he's got a lot going on today, so it was like, I'll shoot it myself. But because of that, you've got a mic cast. So there on the microphone, that's me. I don't know. Anyways, be sure to go to theselfevidenttruth.com, get yourself a shirt, some merch. We've got resources. We've got the Church Liberated book, which is going into print and will be shipping out to those of you who have pre-ordered. So by all means, please stay patient. We're almost across the finish line with all of that. And if you have not secured yourself a copy, by all means, go get yourself and order a copy. Get yourself a book by ordering a copy. How about that? Other than that, no, you guys are great. We're so thankful for you. I know that sounded like I was just like passing you off. Like, you guys are great. You're great. No. You guys really are amazing. We're so thankful for each and every one of you. And just as a housekeeping tip, we do still have our newsletter, our Year of the End drive. All the nonprofits do it. And if you're looking for a tax break for your business, for yourself, if you're looking to give, by all means, pray about giving to us. But most importantly, I care more about you giving where the Lord has told you to give. So if it's to somebody else, by all means, do what you need to do. But if the Lord's putting us on your heart, we're so grateful for your obedience. And it really is true that money helps us get where we need to go. But I'm not going to belabor the point. Go to the website, check out our social media. We've got the newsletter up. You can see our goal, all of that. That being said, so typically when I do this by myself and I'm not covering like big major news events, it goes fairly quick. So don't expect a super long podcast, but I do want you to listen in. And I want you to take a couple of minutes and just put everything aside. If you're driving, awesome. If you're working out, awesome. If you're with the fam, cool. No worries. Family friendly. And I'm going to start in one spot, but I'll end somewhere else. What was it? Yesterday? This morning? I don't know. It all blends together sometimes. I posted something on X, and it was like, dang. You ever say something or post something, and you're like, dang, that was good. This was one of those moments. And what I said was something to the effect of, excuses are easy to make. Anybody can make them. Most people do. Do you want to be like most people? Invariably, most of us say, we don't want to be like most people. We want to be a little more exceptional than the rest. And if you're like, that shouldn't matter, blah, 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 just hear me out. I know where your mind is probably going, but just stick with me for a second. Excuses, just like compromises, derail us, and they sound good in the term. And they can even come from our greatest of loved ones. And one way to check for a red flag of, is a loved one giving me sound advice or should I be wary, is that reason or excuse something that they would do, and do you want to emulate them in that field, right? So if you're out with friends and you're about to order chicken and vegetables and your friends are going to order pizza and burgers, and your friends say, dude, just get some pizza and burgers, look at their level of fitness and their health, and are they overweight? Are they sedentary? What's their life like? If they've got a six-pack and they've got a great business and a loving family and they're super involved, and they're doing well and they know your struggle, they know what you're going through, and they look at you and go, look, dude, it's okay. Get a burger tonight. You're good. Then it's probably sage advice. However, if they're 40 pounds overweight, they don't have a job, they still live with their mom, and there's no discernible direction for them, and they look at you and they go, oh, man, you're eating too healthy. Just take a night off. Be aware. Be very careful of that advice. Because a lot of times, and we might not even know we do it, we help people in their excuses. And it's interesting because I've had several conversations across the gamut with different people, and the realm of excuses keeps coming up. And it comes up for me as well as everybody else. And I'm fascinated by the small choices that we make in day to day. And that's why typically if it's me in charge of the podcast doing my own thing, Mike's off on his own tangent, and is this really self-evident? I don't know, but y'all who listen, thank you. It tends to be stuff like discipline, choices, little victories, excuses, that kind of thing. Because I'm so fascinated by the culmination of small choices over a long period of time. We tend to think, I need to make the big choice once, and that's going to change everything. No, it's an accumulation of small choices over a long time that will build positive or negative results. And excuses or compromises are the perfect way to go into the negative territory over a long period of time. Look, if you make the excuse, well, I'm tired, I didn't get enough sleep last night, over a long period of time, sorry, that's who you are. That's the process you've taken. And we tend to make our excuses or our compromises sound really good and really reasonable to ourselves, especially in the moment of heat, the moment of tension. When you get into that moment, your inner excuse maker or your inner compromise becomes so reasonable. And it just stacks up all of these things that you should probably think about to make this decision that really deep down your flesh just wants to make anyways. And I was thinking about this in terms of excuses. So Massey has been coming over at 6 o'clock in the morning to work out. And we've got another friend with us who does it as well. And the attitude has very much been, it's like brushing your teeth. You're there. There's no excuses. There's no sidelines of, well, I was tired or whatever. It just, you're there. And I've enjoyed it because, and I've written a couple of blog posts over on the Forge stuff about this, that I know I have to open that garage door at 6 a.m. And I know there's been no communication between me or our friend or Massey, but at some point, at least one of them will be there. So it's on me to open the garage door. It does not matter if I have only had 2 hours of sleep or 8 hours of sleep. The excuse doesn't work. And I would do them a drastic disservice to text both of them and say, well, I only got 4 hours of sleep last night, so I'm not going to work out, guys. So they're counting on me. And they're making good progress, and they're doing well. Who am I to make those excuses that ripple out and affect them? And a lot of times we think our excuses only affect us. Oh, it's fine. I can eat that pizza. It's great. Yeah, but how many times have you made that excuse over the months, over the years? And if you accumulate enough of those excuses, how healthy are you for your kids? How healthy are you for your family? What's your longevity like? If you make the excuse, well, I had a hard day, so, a couple of drinks at night every night adds up. No. You could be one of those genetic people who still lives to be 110 or whatever. You could also be one of those people that ends up with cancer or cirrhosis of the liver within a couple of years. Who knows? And I'm not saying that being healthy and fit and all of that is the elixir of life and that's the key and that guarantees you anything. Not by any means. But our excuses hold us back from that next level. And we do it in every area of our life. And I love sitting with people and helping them figure out, okay, where is that excuse coming from? How do I get rid of it? And I also love seeing people in real time decimate their excuses and stop putting faith in them. Because if you take an accounting, you've probably got faith in your excuses. I can't because such and such. Now, I'm not saying there aren't reasons for things, but if you really sat down and you really put out a wager, you're probably making a lot of excuses that have solutions, but how invested are you actually in finding that solution, or what are you willing to sacrifice for that solution? So if you have a very busy day, you're like, I just haven't spent time with the Lord lately because, I get up and I have to go to work and all that. Okay. What is your priority? Is your priority getting up, quick getting ready for work, and jetting out the door 10 minutes after you've gotten up? And then working all day and getting home and eating something and watching some TV and going to bed? Where are your priorities? Are you willing to sacrifice an hour or two of sleep for the Lord? Are you willing to sacrifice some TV for the Lord? Are you willing to step outside of those excuses of, I'm tired, I just need a break, I just need to sit down, I just need this, it frustrates me to hear the words, I deserve. And you're told those words all the time, especially in marketing. You deserve. I deserve this. It's just an excuse to do what you want to do and put off that which you know you need to do. And if you're a parent, you hear your kids give excuses all the time. It's as though that's the language that they speak. And I battle excuses from my kids. I can't do it's too hard. And I've got to be patient and help raise and teach and discipline them. Discipline and discipling. I'm not necessarily saying they give me an excuse and so I, discipline them. That's not what I'm saying. Helping disciple them in a discipline of not giving into excuses. And if there's one way to help see your excuses in a new light and work towards, okay, what can I cut out? Start observing the parameters you set around your excuses. So let's go back to I don't have enough time to spend with the Lord. Is the parameter you've set that I have to sleep in until 6? Because, oh Lord, I just won't have enough sleep if I don't. If you're telling yourself, I have to sleep in till 6, what time are you going to bed at night? Do you have a certain bedtime? Or are you just kind of willy-nilly and whenever, I've watched enough episodes of some random show, then I kind of saunter off to bed and stare at my phone for another hour. I can almost guarantee that our excuses are born out of a lack of actually desiring to find the solution or sacrifice something to get to that solution. And so I'm challenging you, and I love to give challenges on this, and by all means, give feedback if you lean into those challenges. If you don't, tell me why. Because you're probably giving an excuse. What is the excuse you're giving? Because the question is, and I asked a friend this today, he and I were sitting around, and I asked him, I was like, okay, you're doing this stuff, you're doing these things, why? Why are you doing these things? And these things aren't bad things, they're good things, but it's like, what's your why? What are you driving towards? And it was more of a thought exercise for him and for me. And he started to go on about why he does what he's doing, what he's aiming for, who he wants to be, right? And I think that's very valuable because here's the question: what's your priority and who you want to be? If you want to be a devoted, dedicated follower of Christ who loves their family, serves their family, is a great productive worker, is healthy, is focused on using what God has given you in the best ways possible, well, there is an action plan to that. And there will be excuses or compromises that will come in the way that will try to derail you. And guess what? It so often looks sugary and tasty and fun and sweet. And that's metaphorical and real. There's so many things that look enticing that will try to misdirect you. And some people, they're like, it's Satan. Satan's misdirecting me. You are getting misdirected. Doesn't matter who it comes from or where it comes from. It matters how you react to it. That's what matters. And taking an accounting of where you want to go means saying, what am I not willing to compromise on? And instead of, I need to be, and I use the physical because it's such a good analogy and people can easily picture it, and it's something I'm passionate about, so just stick with me. Let's say you're a guy, I want to be 185 pounds, six-pack, blah, blah, blah. That's cool, but that's a what? It's not a why. That's what you want to be. When you get into the why, there's a little less objective numbers. Now, some people will tell you you need to set really objective numbers. I think objectives are good because they give you something to shoot for, but I don't think they're the most important. Instead, if you're going to shoot for some numbers, shoot for consistency's sake. Shoot for, I need to do this because I need to stay consistent to what I'm doing. With your ideal in mind. And your ideal is not a location that you're going to get to and all of a sudden it's utopia. Your ideal is actually the journey. It's your fulfilling and becoming what your ideal was, and you're continuing to operate in that. It's the day-to-day. It's the small choices. It's the who are you over a long term. Just like they say, it's not who you are when you're around other people. It's who you are when you're by yourself. When nobody's watching. Who are you? And our excuses so easily derail us from who we actually want to be. And my question to you is, who do you actually want to be? Because those excuses will derail you. And you only have one life. You only have one chance at this. Gosh, I want you to live with abundance because I want to live with abundance. And man, I look at it and it's like, okay, I can either live in complete poverty of every area of my life or live in true abundance. And guess what true abundance means? Sacrificing those things that keep me from it. And that may be when I come through the door and I'm exhausted and my kids want to play, me sacrificing myself and going, okay, I have a choice here. I can either sit on the couch and watch some TV or whatever, or go play with them even though I don't feel like it. And I want to look back and know I stuck it through and I played with them. Because guess what? If you do it, more than likely, you're going to feel better about it. You're going to feel better about yourself. And truth be told, and I wish he was here to tell this, and maybe he gets on a little bit later and talks about it or talks about it when he gets back. But I had sent a workout to Massey, and he had a long day yesterday, and he still went and did it. Went back to the hotel, hammered it out in the hotel gym. And today he and I were talking. He's like, dude, you were right. I'm so glad I did it. Not like, hey, I'm right. But I'm telling you, you do the things you know you're supposed to, you're going to feel good that you're doing it. That you're fulfilled. I'm chasing after what I actually want. The problem is I always get in the way of myself by the short-term pleasure. And that means sacrificing some short-term pleasure with the reality that the deeper, more fulfilling contentment of long-term is better for you in the long run. And I think all of us would rather feel healthier, more spiritually in tune, more mentally sharp, more productive with what we're doing, more relationally bound with people we love. We want to feel more complete in each area than probably what we are currently. And I'll tell you, just to cap this off, growing up, the number 40 scared the crap out of me because I saw it as that's over the hill. That's done. Life is just on its way out. And I have never had so much fun in life. I wish I could be having this type of real fun in my life back in my 20s, but my 20s were spent being stupid. I think getting married and starting to crawl out of that stupid pit, and my wife was a godsend and all of that. But now I feel healthier than I've ever been, and I had some competitive days when I was in my 20s, but I feel healthier. I feel more active. I feel more in tune with things. I feel more content with life. I feel more driven, more productive. I feel like my relationships are better and higher quality than they've ever been. And obviously, it's the Lord to thank. But I had to say yes and no to the things that would have dragged me away from that stuff. Because when you're given a choice, you have a choice. You have a choice to go one way or the other. And my encouragement to you is to not see the choice just in the short term. See the choice as, does this get me closer to who I want to be as a person or farther away? Do you want to be the person who eats pizza, drinks beer, plays video games, has no social life, and sits in the house? Or do you want to be the opposite? And guess what? If you make that choice on a Friday night, I'm going to eat pizza, drink beer, sit at home, not make any social connections. Once out of 400 days, whatever. You got to have a blow-off day, go for it. But most of us typically make that choice over maybe you consider yourself an introvert. I do. I'm man, give me a book and a week away from everybody, I'm golden. But you make that choice enough times over a long enough timeline, and guess what? That's who you are. As opposed to, I really don't feel like calling somebody, but I want to build social relationships. I want to build friendships and bonds. That means reaching out against yourself and going, I'd really rather sit home, but I know this is good for me. And making that call or shooting that text. And making those small choices that you don't want to make means you're rejecting the excuses that would keep you from doing what you know you should be doing and what you want to do to become the person you actually want to be. Because let's be frank, who do we actually want to be matters. And I don't want to over-spiritualize this, and some of you may think, man, you're talking a lot about like the physical and the mental. You're not talking enough about the spiritual. And I can understand that. But I think we live this life day by day. And we walk through it with the Lord. We have a role to play because He created you as a body and a soul and a spirit. He created you to live fulfilled in each of those areas, not just one. You were created physically, biologically, to do amazing things. You were created to interact with the world and survive. But we've become so disillusioned and so disconnected from reality because you can walk down to the supermarket and get yourself a month's worth of food in a matter of an hour. That is completely unheard of even 150 years ago. This is an insane concept to think about. And you think about thousands of years ago, you didn't know if you were going to eat that day. Outside of agriculture, and even in agriculture, you are so relying on the Lord of, Lord, just please bring the rain. Lord, please keep the pests away from the crops. Because if this crop gets decimated, we've got no food for the winter outside of what we can hunt. And Lord, please bring an animal across our path so we can kill it and eat it. And human beings are very creative and very resourceful, but we're so disillusioned, we're disconnected, I should say. We're so disconnected from reality that the excuses become so reasonable in their choice making because they're not life or death. Whereas 300 years ago, if you didn't get up and go hunt, you're dead. And I'm saying maybe it's time to start putting a little more urgency in your decisions and weighing out the excuses by the urgency. And thinking ahead, okay, what is down the road if I continue on this path? And make the hard choice, and you'll feel better for it. So I'm going to end it there. I know it's quick, and maybe you think it's preachy. Whatever. This stuff fascinates me. I love talking about this stuff, and I wish I had heard more of this stuff when I was younger. And so if you want more of this type of stuff, please check out the blogs on Self-Evidence page. Check out what Massey's doing. Check out what I'm doing. Like, we're here to help guide and disciple. It's our heart. We're teachers, right? We want to guide and mentor and disciple. This is the type of stuff that I love talking about. So by all means, reach out. Anyways, guys, go to theselfevidenttruth.com, get yourself some merch. And we just say thank you so much for everything you do, all you've given us, all you've provided. We love you all, and we appreciate you all. So y'all have a great day, and we will see you Friday. All right. Love you.